Building a minimal plugin architecture in Python. I have an application, written in Python, which is used by a fairly technical audience, scientists. I'm looking for a good way to make the application extensible by the users, i.e. a scripting/plugin architecture. I am looking for something extremely lightweight. Most scripts, or plugins, are not going to be developed and distributed by a third party and installed, but are going to be something whipped up by a user in a few minutes to automate a repeating task, add support for a file format, etc. So plugins should have the absolute minimum boilerplate code, and require no installation other than copying to a folder, so something like setup tools, entry points, or the Zope plugin architecture seems like too much. Are there any systems like this already out there, or any projects that implement a similar scheme that I should look at for ideas, inspiration?
Mine is, basically, a directory called plugins which the main app can poll and then use imp.load_module to pick up files, look for a well-known entry point possibly with module level config params, and go from there. I use file monitoring stuff for a certain amount of dynamism and which plugins are active, but that's a nice to have. Of course, any requirement that comes along saying I don't need big, complicated thing, X, I just want something lightweight runs the risk of re-implementing X one discovered requirement at a time. But that's not to say you can't have some fun doing it anyway. Smile.
Module_example.py Loader.py It's certainly minimal, it has absolutely no error checking, probably countless security problems, it's not very flexible, but it should show you how simple a plugin system in Python can be. You probably want to look into the imp module too, although you can do a lot with just _import_, os.list here and some string manipulation.
Have a look at this overview over existing plugin frameworks, libraries. It is a good starting point. I quite like Yapsy, but it depends on your use case.
While that question is really interesting, I think it's fairly hard to answer without more details. What sort of application is this? Does it have a GUI? Is it a command line tool? A set of scripts? A program with a unique entry point, etc.? Given the little information I have, I will answer in a very generic manner. What means do you have to add plugins? You will probably have to add a configuration file, which will list the paths/directories to load. Another way would be to say any files in that plugin/directory will be loaded, but it has the inconvenience to require your users to move around files. A last intermediate option would be to require all plugins to be in the same plugin/folder, and then to active/deactivate them using relative paths in a config file. On a pure code/design practice, you'll have to determine clearly what behavior/specific actions you want your users to extend. Identify the common entry point/a set of functionalities that will always be overridden, and determine groups within these actions. Once this is done, it should be easy to extend your application. Example using hooks, inspired from MediaWiki, PHP, but does language really matters? Another example, inspired from Mercurial. Here, extensions only add commands to the HG command line executable, extending the behavior. For both approaches, you might need common initialize and finalize for your extension. You can either use a common interface that all your extension will have to implement. Fits better with second approach. Mercurial uses a repo setup UI repo that is called for all extension, or use a hook kind of approach with the hooks.setup hook. But again, if you want more useful answers, you'll have to narrow down your question. Smile.